based on this document, it looks like the interim, he was left at that position in November of 2019. Is that fair?
Based on this document, that's what the document states.
Okay, and also based on this document, it seems like the board was presented with the Peterson report in January of 2020. Is that fair?
The final question, broad and vague, also foundation, go ahead and answer.
That's what this report says.
Okay.
So that was 2 months later.
Great. So let's look then to the next page, if you will. And there's some bullet points there. Do you see those?
Yeah.
Okay. July 8th of 2020, and that's 6 months after the Peterson report, again paraphrasing, the administration with representation from the city's office attempted to reach a settlement through mediation to resolve a complaint raised by an employee working under Dr. Holliday with the state's Equal Rights Division. Is that a true statement based on your knowledge and experience at the Milwaukee Public School Board?
Check the foundation, calls for speculation.
I don't recall.
Okay.
I don't dispute it, but I don't recall.
Do you know who Deborah Bowling is?
I'm pretty sure I do.
Okay, who's Deborah Bowling?
Does she work with the, I get names confused, but was she working in the art department?
Okay, and do you believe that MPS entered into a negotiation with her at any time to resolve complaints that she might have made against Dr. Holliday?
I'm going to object to the form question, broad and vague, lacks foundation, calls for speculation that part of this witness. Go ahead and answer to the best of your ability.
Can you just ask the question again?
Do you believe that MPS entered into a mediation with Deborah Bowling to resolve her complaints against Dr. Holliday?
Same objections. I don't know if Mr. Peterson even knows who Ms. Bowling is, but that lacks foundation, calls for speculation. Go ahead and answer if you can.
Yeah, so I'm not certain. I mean, I know that at different times, MPS, attempts to resolve problems, might have been this was one of them.
Okay, September 2nd of 2020, Deputy Superintendent Calvin Furman discusses the investigative findings with Dr. Holliday and assigns him coaching. Do you have any knowledge of that?
No, but that's one, well, I won't say no, that I don't have the specific, doesn't come to mind like that, but I do know that one of the procedures that the district uses is coaching when there's, whether it's a principal or somebody in leadership.
Okay, so, and based on this, do you believe that Dr. Holliday was still in leadership at this time?
The foundation.
I'm not sure. I mean, I was assuming that if he's get coaching, he hasn't, the process would be coached to see if he can improve before you're moved. So I assume he's still in leadership at that.
Okay, and do you ever have any recollection voting to approve any settlements with MPS employees at any time?
Different times I have, but we know there's nearly 10,000 employees, and there's a lot of the stuff that comes up. And there's always a process of negotiation and whatever before any settlement is reached. So I certainly participate in some of those, but I don't know them offhand, like who is or what.
Okay, but you have knowledge of MPS settling with MPS employees while you were a board member, right?
I think a couple times, yeah.
Okay, and you have knowledge voting for those settlements or something else?
Generally, I support what yeah. Oftentimes, by the time they get to the board in closed session, there's, city attorney has weighed in, other people have weighed in, and the board generally goes with those recommendations.
Okay, does support and vote, are those synonymous in your answer just now?
Check the phone question, broad and vague, calls for speculation.
My answer is that given that background, then generally the board has voted to resolve certain things, but that's based on quite a bit of discussion background negotiation.
Have you ever known the board to resolve a complaint without, through negotiation, without a formal vote?
Say that again?
Have you ever known the Milwaukee Public School Board to resolve a lawsuit through negotiation but without a vote?
Without a vote by the board.
Right.
I assume the board has to prove, no, I don't know of a case where the board, has not been involved.
Okay. Is there any time that you've voted as an MPS school board member where you knew what the other school, I guess, directors were going to vote before the vote?
The front question is broad and vague, so I can answer if you can.
I don't recall that.
Okay. Did you ever discuss your votes ahead of time with anybody?
Some objections.
Yeah. No, this is something, and we don't discuss it. We do not discuss board items that go before us in the closed session. We've accepted that closed session. We don't just then turn around and discuss things individually and then try to maneuver votes like you might in a political situation.
Okay, you never do that.
I've never participated in that.
Okay. And have you ever communicated with board members about any votes ahead of time?
Check the front question is broad and vague.
No, I haven't. And based on, because oftentimes, all that we know we're going into closed session about is some personnel issue. So it's not, so it's unlikely that I even have the information to discuss that.
Okay. Now, when you were a board member, how did you communicate with other board members outside of board meetings?
Check the front question is broad and vague, go ahead and answer if you can.
Variety of ways, sometimes via phone, sometimes email, sometimes if I bumped into them at different places, tend to sometimes. But that was only on a one-by-one basis. We're very strict about having a walking quorum. And I was, as board president, very strict about that. But we couldn't have.
Okay. And when you were communicating by telephone, was that your personal telephone or somebody else's?
Sometimes it depends. Sometimes people would call me my personal phone, so I tended to try to take my phone calls on my school board phone.
But you did both, is that fair?
Yeah, if people called, yeah.
Okay. And how about textual communications? Did you ever use your own telephone to communicate textually with anybody regarding MPS business?
Occasionally, but I tried not to.
Okay. And what steps did you take to try not to?
Try not to text, just to talk to a director.
Okay. Like face to face, for example.
Or by phone.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of texting to resolve things.
And how about emails? Did you ever use your personal emails?
No, I use the district emails. I might have, when I say no, I generally try to use the district email. At times I might have responded, somebody sent me something personal.
Okay. And I want to be clear, again, going back to Dr. Holliday, because you knew that the city attorney's office had made a conclusion that Dr. Holliday had made a race-based hiring decision in violation of the law in District Policy, right? You don't deny that you knew that at some point.
No.
Objected. I think the question's been asked and answered repeatedly, but go ahead and answer it now.
I don't recall. I recall that was a conclusion. I don't recall any details surrounding it. I mean, I see this here, I don't recall any details surrounding it, I know, yeah, I'll just leave it there.
Okay, so, can you explain to me, is there a social justice imperative in keeping Dr. Holliday employed at MPS after having found this, the city attorney having found this conclusion against him?
So the question's broad and vague, calls for speculation, lacks foundation, but answer if you can.
I don't really, let's put it this way. In the conversation around this, there was also concerns raised, sort of counter concerns raised by a couple board members
Okay.
that they felt that Dr. Holliday was himself being criticized because of his race.
Okay, so it's fair to say that certain board members thought that the city attorney's office was being racist in having a conclusion that Dr. Holliday made a race-based hiring decision in violation of the law and district policy. Is that fair?
I'm gonna object before the question. You misstated his testimony. He said the criticisms made against Dr. Holliday, the criticisms that were told to the city attorney. That's what he testified to, not what you just testified.
Sir, your testifying here has really got to stop.
Actually, you're mischaracterizing his testimony has got to stop because it's argumentative.
Then you
and it's
can
misleading.
absolutely, please don't shout, sir.
I'm
you
not
can
shouting.
absolutely use your objections,
I objected.
but then the speaking objections and the personal criticism here again that I think you should have left at the door.
I am not going to stop calling out the fact that you're misrepresenting his testimony.
There's an objection for that.
I did object to it.
You
so
did
it's-
more than that, and that's why I'm highlighting that. So if we can move forward on that basis, I'd appreciate it. But shouting, for example,
I'm
and
not
interrupting is not been a successful strategy thus far. I would hope that you would move on to other
I am not shouting.
tactics,
I made
more
my,
in keeping
I
with your
made my
ethical
objection.
requirements.
I clarified why you misrepresented his testimony. Continue on.
All right, we'll keep going. So, who were the board members that raised these concerns?
I'm not sure I should answer the question as in closed session. Is that something?
I'll tell you what, I'm going to instruct you not to answer that question at this point in time. We'll leave it to somebody else to figure out if that's appropriate testimony or not.
Okay. All right, so I gotta get that record pretty clear. If you would repeat that question, I would appreciate it.
Question, so who were the board members that raised these concerns?
And are you refusing to answer that question, sir?
I'm just asking,
I'm instructing this witness at this point in time to not answer that question. That can be raised in front of the ALJ. We can determine if in fact that is an appropriate question to be asking this witness about the identity of some individuals regarding their conversations in closed session.
Sir, are you refusing to answer my question?
Based on my instructions, yes it is.
Excuse me. For the record here, let's be clear. When you get your chance to be deposed, Chris, you can answer questions under oath. Right now, you're, excuse me.
Continue on with the questioning, please.
Okay. So how this is going to continue to work is if you interrupt me, I will just simply wait and then repeat myself, and we'll see how that works out, and I may have to adapt depending on your behavior. So, can we repeat the question?
The last question was, sir, are you refusing to answer the question? And he answered yes.
Okay. Now, we're getting on to this question here. It was, did you hear your attorney assert any privilege when he instructed you not to answer that question?
I'm gonna object to foundation.
I don't know what this all means, so I can't answer the question.
Okay, did you hear me ask you, did you know what the word privilege meant?
It was different definitions of privilege, yes.
Great, I appreciate that. My question to you was, did you hear me ask you if you knew what the definition of privilege was?
No, well, you just asked me this.
Okay.
I'm confused.
Are you refusing to answer questions about closed session on a basis of privilege or something else?
Object to foundation. Go ahead and answer.
My experience on the board is what is raised in closed session stays in closed session until the board comes out and publicly moves on something, you know. I've been told that we don't say who votes for what or who voted for what or how, but I did say that, you know, there was enough perspective. We actually don't take official votes in closed session oftentimes. It's sort of like the majority, as was in this case, with Holiday, he was not promoted. I don't feel comfortable talking about how individuals, any in particular individual, raise the issue at that closed session.
You know what the answer to my question is, though, don't you?
No.
You know who's raised these concerns, saying that the complaints against Holiday were racist. You know who made those concerns, don't you?
Say the question again.
You know what the answer to my question is about which board member raised the concerns about the complaints against Dr. Holiday being racist, don't you?
I'm pretty sure I do.
Okay. And you're refusing to answer those questions, not because your attorney instructed to you on the basis of privilege. Isn't that also correct?
Again,
I can't say this or no that because
I'm gonna object to foundation. Legal privilege is something beyond this witness's competency. And I've already indicated to you on the record that this is something that we need to take up in front of the ALJ. So at this point in time, I am instructing him not to answer.
Yeah, you know, of course, Chris, that that's not how that works at all. You know you can't, you're gonna stop, because I'm gonna finish what I have to say.
Go ahead.
You know that when you can, only basis that you can instruct him not to speak is on privilege. You haven't asserted any privilege whatsoever. You just said we need to wait for the ALJ. You know that's sanctionable, you know you can't do it, and you're continuing to do it. My question to this witness is simply, did he hear you assert privilege or something else? And if not, then we'll keep going. But you're not allowing him
He's
to answer the
not going
question.
to answer this question. I'm inserting a privilege. Attorney-client, work product. There you go.
Work product on his, what happened at a closed session meeting, you're saying that's a work product.
If there's an attorney in there, yes. If there's a city attorney in there, it is work product.
Okay, any other basis?
All the bases I've indicated previously. So I'm instructing this witness not to answer that question. I would ask you to move on.
Okay. Do you have any basis to believe that there was a city attorney in this meeting?
There's usually a city attorney.
Oh, there's usually a city attorney, but do you have any basis to recall that sitting here today?
Object to the following questions. Answered it. He said, there usually is.
Yes.
No, that's not, that was my first question here, Chris. And again, thank you for testifying, but it's getting a little tiresome. We're trying to get this witness's testimony. So I want to be very clear, sir. You know exactly who made these comments saying that the criticisms against Dr. Holiday were race-based, but you're refusing to answer. Isn't that right?
Again, I've indicated my objections to privilege. As we indicated before, there was probably an attorney in that meeting at the time, so therefore, we're talking about work product, attorney-client privilege.
My question to you has nothing to do with work product privilege. My question is only, are you aware of, well, we can just go back to that because apparently your attorney is just answering the question. Are you going to continue to answer the questions here, Chris?
I'm making my objections, Ben, move on.
I get that sense. So, can you tell me what, Mr. Peterson, what the social justice imperative to have MPS employees despair to go to work every day?
Check the form questions, broad and vague, calls for speculation. Go ahead and answer if you can.
People should be treated well.
Okay, so that would not be a social justice imperative, right?
Check the form questions, broad and vague.
It depends on how you define social justice. You know, I'm just saying, I think people in any work environment should be treated with respect.
Okay, and you're a co-author on many publications about social justice, fair?
On some, yeah,
And you started a magazine and other publications committed to social justice, fair?
right.
Right, okay. And in fact, your whole career, you've held yourself out to be an advocate for social justice, isn't that true?
That's true.
Okay. So now explain to me, based on that knowledge and experience, what the social justice imperative for having MPS employees losing hope that anything will change or get better so long as Dr. Holliday is in a position of influence.
Check the form of questions, broad and vague, calls for speculation, as well as has been asked and answered. Go ahead and answer.
There's not a social justice imperative.
Okay. Explain to me the social justice imperative of having MPS employees having to seek professional therapy in order to deal with the stress caused specifically by the experiences with Dr. Holliday.
Same objections as the prior question.
Yeah, same answer. There's no social justice imperative about that. I know, yeah.
Okay.
As I've stated, I think people in whatever work situation they are in should be treated with respect.
How about, should they be subject to sexual harassment?
Of course not.
No, okay. And you believe that when you're a member of the board, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you were a member of the board, did you believe that people who brought issues to the board should be punished?
Check the form of questions, broad and vague, calls for speculation. Go ahead and answer if you can.
No, I didn't believe people should be punished.
Okay. Did you ever witness anybody getting punished for bringing any concerns to the board?
Nope.
Did you ever witness anybody complain of being punished for bringing any concerns to the board?
Check the form of questions, broad and vague. Go ahead and answer if you can.
I don't know, I'm not sure I witnessed it, but I certainly heard people saying that they were didn't want to say some things because they're afraid they might be retaliated against.
Okay. And in all the questions that I've asked you thus far today, if the answer contains something that occurred in closed session, have you refused to give me that information?
Check the form of questions, broad and vague.
I refuse to speak specifically about what individual might have argued for. I did not refuse to tell you that, for example, in closed session, we decided not to promote Dr. Holliday to a permanent position.
Okay.
There's a difference between the general that I've talked to you about and any specific person who might have thought otherwise or argued otherwise.